Next in our project settings, we have our player settings. In the player settings, we have the ability to set up a couple of additional options and parameters for the final game that we're going to build. Some of the first ones we'll see, we have our company name. We can change out our company name, we can change out our product name, our default icon that we're going to use for the project. Now, some of this information is pretty important, that if we're going to build out something to, let's say, the iPhone or the iPad Touch, for instance, then the Xcode that's being used to build the game is going to need some of this information correct, because this is where it's going to be pulling it from. So make sure this information is filled out correctly. And below that, we can see a couple of other things. We have our per platform settings. This depends on the type of platform that we're choosing. If we have our iPhone, our iPad, our PC, our Mac, or whatever it might be, we're going to be changing up the platform settings in here as well. The first thing we see is our resolution and our presentation. If we open this one up, we can see that in the resolution dialog that gets created when you're launching the application, we have our default options that come up first. We can do run in the background. We have our default screen width and height that we set up initially. We can change those out depending on what it is we're gearing this build for. Our other ones are standalone player options. Default is full screen, capture single screen, display resolution dialog, different options. We're not going to go too much in depth. Our supported aspect ratios, our dashboard widget options, using alpha in the dashboard if we're going to be using any kind of alphas on it. Our watermark, we can display the watermark if we need to. And let's go ahead and go down to our icon. Inside of the icon, we can override the standalone, and we can actually go in and say what's our high res, our 48 down to our 16 by 16, and simply load in the image into each one of those. Our splash image that gets displayed is loaded right in here, nice and simple. And then the other settings that we have are rendering options, whether we are vertex lit, forward, or deferred. Basically, this is how the lighting is going to be handled, whether or not we have good lighting inside the scene or poor lighting. Vertex lit does not support any kind of shadows. Forward is going to support some shadowing, and then deferred lighting is one of the best options that we could leave for the setting. So with that, whenever you're setting up, making that build, and you're trying to find out what are some additional settings that I'm going to have to go through, these are those additional settings that you'll look for when you're getting close to finishing that build and finalizing that project.